Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balaga Girivardhari Jaya Yasodanandana Praja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari Radha Kunja Bihari Radhe Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Mai Subhadra. Jaya Shrinataji, Jaya Balagopal, Jaya Shrinataji, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Gaurani Jai, Jaya Gaurani Jai, Jaya Gaurani Jai, Jaya Gaurani Jai. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Vishnupada, Paramahamsa Parivrajarya, Astoda Satyashishimar's Divine Grace, Founder of ISKCON, Abhay Charanadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam Ki Jai, Their Most Merciful Lordship Shri Shrimadakanja Bihari Ki Jai, Shri Jagannath Shri Baladev Mai Subhadra Ki Jai, Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai, Go Prema. All glories to the assembled.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the Lord and Spirit of Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram chaiva narottamam Devam saraswatim vyasam Tato jayamudiraya Nasta praishu badreshu Nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama shloke Bhaktir bhagavati naistiki Shrimadbhagavatam is our only pursuit in pursuit of the truth, in pursuit of knowledge, in pursuit of the fulfillment and satisfaction of the experience of human life. Shrimadbhagavatam gives us that. We are reading today from Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 40. Text 40. Tvam api adabra Shruta Vishrutam Vibho Tvamapya Bhadra Shruta Vishrutam Vibho Tvamapya Bhadra Shruta Vishrutam Vibho Tvam apya badra shruta vishrutam vibho Samapyate Yena Vidam Ubhutsitam Samapyate Yena Vidam Vibhutsitam Samapyate yena vidam bubhutsitam Samapyate yena vidam bubhutsitam Prakyahi Dukar Muhur Aditamanam Prakyahi duker muhur arditatmanam Prakyahi duker muhur arditatmanam Prakyahi duker muhur arditmanam Sanklesha Nirvanam Ushanti Nanyata 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 Please chant.
Tvamapya Dabhra Shruta Vishrutam Vibho
Tvamapya Bhadra Shruta Vishrutam Vibho
Samapyate Yena Vidam Bhutsitam
Samyapyate Yena Vidam Bhutsitam
Prakyahi Dukkar Murarditatmanam
Prakyahi Dukkar Murarditatmanam
Sanklesha Nirvana Musanti Nanyata
Sanklesha Nirvana Mushanti Nanyata
Tvamapi Adabra Shruta Vishrutam Vibho
Tvamapya Dabra Shruta Vishrutam Vibho
Samapyate Yena Vidham
Samapyate yena vedam vibhutsitam.
Prakyahi duke muhur antitatmanam.
Prakyahi duker muraditatmanam.
Sanklesha nirvanam ushanti nanyata.
Sanklesha nirvanam ushanti nanyata. Tvam, your good soul, Api, also, Abhadra, vast, Shruta, Vedic literature, Vishrutam, have heard also, Vibho, of the Almighty, Samapyate, satisfied, Yena, by which, Vidam, of the learned, Vibhutitam, who always desire to learn transcendental knowledge. Is there a word like that in English language? Prakyahi, describe. Dukkha, by miseries. Muhu, always. Ardita atmanam, suffering mass of people. Sanklesha, suffering. Nirvana, mitigation. Ushantina, do not get out of. Anyata, by other means. Tvam apya dabra shuta vishrutam vibho samapyate yena vidam bubhutitam prakyahi duker murarditatmanam sanklesha nirvanam ushanti nanyata. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Please, therefore, describe the Almighty Lord's activities, which you have learned by your vast knowledge of the Vedas. For that will satisfy the hankering of great learned men, and at the same time mitigate the miseries of the masses of common people, who are always suffering from material pangs. Indeed, there is no other way to get out of such miseries. Please repeat. Please, therefore, describe the Almighty Lord's activities, which you have learned by your vast knowledge of the Vedas. For that will satisfy the hankering of great learned men. And at the same time, mitigate the miseries of the masses of common people, who are always suffering from material pangs. Indeed, there is no other way to get out of such miseries. Please, therefore, describe the Almighty Lord's activities, which you have learned by your vast knowledge of the Vedas. For that will satisfy the hankerings of great learned men, and at the same time mitigate the miseries of the masses of common people, who are always suffering from material pangs. Indeed, there is no other way to get out of such miseries. Purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Sri Narad Muni, from practical experience, definitely asserts that the prime solution of all problems of material worth is to broadcast very widely the transcendental glories of the Supreme Lord. There are 4 classes of good men, and there are 4 classes of bad men also. The four classes of good men acknowledge the authority of the Almighty God, and therefore such good men, 1, when they are in difficulty, 2, when they are in need of money, 3, when they are advanced in knowledge, and 4, when they are inquisitive to know more and more about God, intuitively take shelter of the Lord. As such, Naradji advises Vyasadeva to broadcast the transcendental knowledge of God in terms of the vast Vedic knowledge which he had already attained. As far as the bad men are concerned, they are also 4 in number. 1, those who are simply addicted to the modes of progressive fruitive work, and thus are subjected to the accompanying miseries. 2, those who are simply addicted to vicious work for sense gratification and so suffer the consequences. 3, those who are materially very much advanced in knowledge, but who suffer because they do not have the sense to acknowledge the authority of the Almighty Lord. And 4, class of men who are known as atheists and who therefore purposely hate the very name of God, although they are always in difficulty. Sri Naradji advised Vyasadeva to describe the glories of the Lord, just to do good in all 8 classes of men, both good and bad. Shrimadbhagavatam is therefore not meant for any particular class of men or sect. It is for the sincere soul who actually wants his own welfare and peace of mind. This ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 5th chapter of the Shrimadbhagavatam, entitled Narad's Instructions on Shrimadbhagavatam for Vyasadeva. Om Jnanatimirandasya Garanjana Shalakaya Chakshusumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Namaha. Now, at the end of this chapter, we're seeing Narad finishing his point, basically, that this description of Krishna's pastimes that will glorify his activities will bring satisfaction to all society, good and bad people alike, even all the people that are looking to God for any reason at all, they can find satisfaction in the description given in these scriptures. So, when we analyze crime, crime is basically a misconception for the person who is engaged in that of what their purpose is in life, basically. And people are entering into crime life from very young ages in this age. They enter into crime life for protection, they join gangs and feel that's a means of, getting protection. But see, the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, just like when we're out there dancing and singing, even crooks, they see the happiness. And when an activity that is looked upon, that is for the soul, for every soul, and can be seen that, wow, these people are having a good time here. When I'm suffering in this miserable consciousness that I'm in, and here these people are singing and dancing, what do they got to dance about, So this goes on in the minds of people because they're so encumbered by the daily activities that life demands. People work because they have to. Mostly. Wealthy work because they want to, it would seem. I mean, if you have wealth and you have enough wealth set for life, why involve yourself with other people at all? Just do whatever you want to do and leave the rest of the world alone. But, see, there's a group of people who want to use their wealth for the benefit of other human beings. So in that regard, this is considered pious to some degree. But even pious activities only give people what the giver or the participant of the pious activity is limited to in his knowledge of being able to give knowledge. Because giving knowledge is being looked at as the highest, isn't it? This is what Veda Vyasa is being requested by Narad Muni, is to give knowledge of himself. And exalting that above all else, knowledge of his activities. So how would we think that knowledge would be able to satisfy the minds of those unless it contained love? Love is a satisfying force, and love is a satisfying force that is lacking in the minds of the criminals, in the minds of the children who have no mother and father, who were born sometimes out of lust, whose both mother and father have no care for the child whatsoever. In Detroit, we see this a lot. In these neighborhoods here, you can find that. Because the child becomes a burden to the mother because the father is left home. Now the mother is forced to have to go out and take on a job, which doesn't even pay sometimes enough to put food on the table. So all of these disturbing situations within society, even in the wealthiest societies in the world, which we're basically living in, or at least it used to be at one time, there is starvation going on. There is hunger. And even so, in the world with all access now, that a good portion of the world has access to, still dissatisfaction is there. So much rioting is going on. So much killing is going on. And all of it is nonsense when looked at in comparison to what great value this human life has to offer if used for the purpose it was meant for. And it has the greatest, every soul that finds itself encapsulated by this human form. Then know we have the greatest opportunity. Veda Vyasa has written those words, reading about his having written it in the past, and now it is available to us in the present. And it is being described as the greatest subject matter the soul can involve itself in. It can immerse itself in the thoughts of. So all day long, if we read Bhagavatam, then questions are going to come to our mind, just naturally. So, Bhagavatam reveals super soul within us is the source of everything. But as well, we have access to those souls who have made further advancement than we have. And it's by this knowledge of Krishna's pastimes that give so much knowledge. We analyze in this verse what this one verse is accrediting itself with, giving the knowledge of. This is Veda Vyasa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has written everything there is for the entire society of the future to conduct itself perfectly and live in harmony with one another, following guidelines that will give them after this life a most glorious heavenly experience. And here he is making this available to us and revealing to us how significantly powerful these pastimes are, so as to be able to take all of our consciousness, capture our consciousness. In this way, Krishna is a thief to capture our minds. But he's the thief that can use the mind for what it was created for to begin with. And we, thinking the mind is ours to do with as we please, have actually stolen it from the purpose it was meant to perform. So we're actually the thieves. Just like when Krishna takes that yogurt, the yogurt that's being hung by the gopis is going to be offered to Krishna. So how can we say he's stealing it, right? And then what to speak, everything that is coming from his body. So when you have this perspective on the pastimes, it's not a little boy anymore. The supreme person having fun with his devotees that are wanting to know him lovingly. And then this is that class of souls that Srila Prabhupada in the purport is bringing out, is that Krishna prefers the most. They want to know everything about God. And so that's why we're here listening to class. Yesterday, we were talking again, as I've been talking continuously, about this golden age. The golden age of such a yuga within Kali Yuga. But here, think about this. The age itself being called Kali, the age of Kali, is not the age of the Kali, goddess Kali. It is the age of sin incarnate. That is who the person Kali is. And yet, he's allowed to, as a soul, as a spiritual being, inhabit the substance gold. We call it gold. So, this golden age that's coming is being led by the golden avatar. So, by engaging the energy gold, Krishna does the same thing. When he engages Jarasandha in a battle, Jarasandha goes out and gathers together all these armies. As many armies as there were in the Battle of Kurukshetra combined, there were like 18 armies total. 11 on one side, 7 on the other side. Jarasandha brought 22 similar sized armies to fight Krishna and Balaram. 22 times he brought that many. Can you imagine? So this battle of Kurukshetra was not new for Krishna and Balaram. And you can see Krishna had not lost any confidence in who was going to win the battle by the fact that he wasn't going to take up weapons. He's in control of everything, control of the material energy. So he can transform. See, if all the people on the planet are serving Krishna, then all the gold in the world will then be used in Krishna's service. So just like Jarasandha, great demon, wanted to fight Krishna, he's going to gather up all these demons to fight with Krishna so Krishna can put them in their proper place. So, yeah. So, curious to know how it came that Kali was able to enter. That would be a story to find. And it's there in Bhagavatam, I'm sure. But when Maharaj Parikshit approached Kali, he had taken a bodily form. He was cutting the legs off of a cow with one leg remaining. And the 4 legs of the cow representing the 4 pillars of religion. Was it cleanliness, truth, austerity, and renunciation. What is it? Compassion. I think renunciation is there, one of them too. But in this age, it is being revealed that there is only one leg. See, these things are representing. Whenever Kali interacts with the human race, there is a profound message to be revealed by what statement is being made by the act. So this cutting of the legs of the cow is revealing that in this age, religion itself is standing on one leg. Common religion, yeah.
Which one is it?
I believe it was true. It was true.
Compassion.
I didn't know that. From what I understand, it was truth.
Oh, it's truth. They don't have truth, though.
Right. So it is very weak. Religion in this age is very weak. So this is why the Harinam Sankirtan movement is so important, to revitalize people's hearts and bring them out of the concept that God is such a condemner of humankind that he has 2 places for them to go, either heaven or hell, and they're both eternal, and you can't get out of either one. And there's no variegativeness, it's all the same, either heaven or hell. But there's one heaven, there's one hell. This is a Christian concept of, this is Muslim concept as well. This is Mormon concept. This is Catholic concept. All of them are believing like this. And so what it puts upon the minds of those who have common sense, they can put 2 and 2 together. They think, wow, is that love? Is that a loving God that gives you 60 years to make a determination for an eternity? And determine, depending upon where you're born in the world, can very well determine whether you even have access to God at all, even. So, what happens in the minds of those who use that reasonable idea, even they form in their mind, of the meaning of love? And what it would mean for God, a supreme controller, to be able to intercede for mankind, to give them knowledge, to give them wisdom, to give them the ability to work with each other in a better way, then seeing the result of the teachings being that if you don't do that, then you're going to be burned in a fire, a big furnace God's got cooking up for you. He's just waiting to cook you.
Shallow and
Yeah.
quiet.
Now see, in that same way, there were men. What this puts in the minds of people is ways to carry out God's punishments for God. We'll put people in the furnace for God, so God doesn't have to do it. We'll do it for him. There's a story in the Bible. Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego was condemned because they wouldn't bow down to the king. They were bowing down to God, who they said the king wasn't following God. The king had ordered that these 3 servants of God be thrown into the fire. The fire was turned up so hot that the two people trying to throw him into the furnace died from the heat exhaustion that it caused. And when they were put in the fire, they said, we put 3 men in there, there's 4 in there now. And one looks like God. One looks like God, he's so glorious, he's so brilliant. And they're in there walking in the fire as if nothing's happening. Then they came out. And they said, we make these guys, these are the head now, these are the chiefs. And we'll listen to whatever they say. So, see, Krishna can put us in a very low place and then lift us up for people to see that knowledge of God is the real treasure of human life. And he gives it to everybody, no matter what status, if we have the desire to want knowledge of God, to want love of God. And all those who are reading Bhagavatam, I can't see any other reason they would want to do that other than to find out what these pastimes are talking about. Well, we see the size of the universe being described. Who can know that? Who would be so bold as to make a declaration that I'm going to tell you how big but Krishna does. Krishna does that. Now, he either is God, or he's a total liar and crooked and has created all these stories out of his imagination, right? So we see the foundation being laid for us to be able to understand that these are not stories being made up of someone's imagination, but Veda Vyas is revealing as the Supreme Person himself the activities that he himself has engaged in since time immemorial. Because this isn't the first universe Krishna entered into. And it's not the first time he came into this planet. He does, time to time. This planet is 311, half of that. I gotta find out what is 52% of 311 trillion, 400 billion. What is 52% of that? Because that's where we are in the age of the universe. And there's another thing. Who's going to tell us how old the universe is? Yet devotees, take this as common knowledge. Because we have this from Bhagavatam, which is spoken by Veda Vyas. So this one statement, a paragraph, is saying that the study of these literatures is the only way a human being can get relief of the suffering that we are experiencing in this material world. That's quite a dramatic statement, actually, when you think about it. The only literature. So, supreme, because already we know by study of Vedic literatures, apart from Krishna's pastimes, that they are themselves a means of humanity and society at large to find perfection in its dealings with one another. Perfect laws are there. Manu gives these laws also. And so explicitly, in such a personalized way that all human beings who have the ability to read our own language that's been put into can reason, wow, yeah, we could get along like that. We could function like that. We could make decisions for one another like that. People have set into cities in such distinct order could function perfectly like that. Yet, Narad Muni is saying here, it is only knowing, and it's including those childhood pastimes. What does a child have to teach an adult? You go to many kids around here and say, I need you for advice. Yet Krishna, at 7 years old, reveals philosophical truths about the world. He starts eating dirt and allows his mother to explain the difference between the forms of his own energy manifest. And in doing that, then he shows his mother the universe in his mouth. Yes. Now you've told me the truths that I've revealed to you as Super Soul, and now I've revealed to you who I am as Super Soul. See how Krishna does. So he hides from time to time the fact that he is the supremost personality there is from his mother and father. And then he reveals it to him. And he hides it again. So this is our experience in life also. In fact, the whole day's like that, isn't it? We come to the morning program, all attendant upon, the principles and precepts, following teachings, everything on it. But then we have to go out in the material world and conduct ourselves with interacting with people who are using language we don't use, creating concepts in our minds, swearing at us, hearing them swear at other people, so many things, just by interacting with other human beings, because they don't have the pleasure of knowing the pastime of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They fill themselves up. Now, we're being given a name of God that is being described by God as his most favorite, Krishna. Now, in so-called religious circles, let's say you bump, you're pounding a nail and you hit your finger. Then you say, Jesus Christ. That's said to be swearing, because you're using it at a time in which you're blaming God. Oh. But if you say Krishna, we say that's a great benefit. Not swearing. That's good. So there's a difference, see, and there's no recognition in the value of God's name being spoken either, in this direct belief that if you repeat God's name, if you speak God's name for help, calling out, isn't it? When you bump your finger, Jesus Christ. Are they calling for help, or are they, what is that statement? What is that a statement of when they call it cursing? But see, here is another thing. In most languages of the world, they have descriptions for body parts that are considered to be vulgar. Body parts that are considered to be scientific. Describing the same body part. Creating the same concept within the mind. How is it any better than the other? Just like Ryan was saying the other day, Old English used to be only used by the king. So generations that came following that was used by the poor in order to replicate their ability to conceive of themselves in that same echelon of people that existed in prior generations that were of the king's communication. They could talk with the king in his language, in his lingo, right? So these conceptualizations that human beings give to themselves, making themselves believe these interactions with other human beings make them higher or lower in the eyes of God even. You have these conceptualizations of our relationship with Krishna based on how we relate with each other. And so Veda Vyasa, even in this way we can see Veda Vyasa is wanting to communicate with us. And because his desire is to give us what he would consider to be the best for us. He's not thinking of it in his own personal way, and Narad Muni has to point out, your pastimes are the best. So, the same way we don't think of our own pastimes as beneficial for others to know about, although most politicians do when they brag about it, isn't it? The more they brag, the more people believe it. And probably the bigger the lie, the more believable it becomes out of the mouth of a politician. They learn the language of diplomacy. So see, there's another force acting within the American society, being politically correct, it's called. Using the English language in such a way that people will agree with your use of. You have to use terms in such a way that they agree with, otherwise you become, to them, a violent human being or a racist human being, or you can be considered all these things. Bigoted, prejudiced, all these things. Just by use of a word in the language which Bhagavatam describes as evidence of the kind of interactions human beings are going to be having in Kali Yuga. And it says this 5,000 years ago, that we would argue with one another over the difference in a word. The difference in a word. This is what people are killing over. The differences in the belief in the name of God. Differences in the belief of a law, abort or not abort. It's a weird society that has been developed by false ego. All is due to false ego and not recognition of who the Supreme Person is. And not realizing the means to find that out is by study of Bhagavatam. It seems simple to us to be able to, whenever we want, just pick up a Bhagavatam. But those who don't even know the value of it don't even have the thought enter their mind that it's something to pick up. So we're the ones that have to bring it to them. We have to get these books out somehow. At least through our preaching, but at best through the distribution of the books. Give them a book, give them some prasadam, something that will last eternally. That's what you've got to give, and that's what we have to share. The more we share, the more we'll have full realization of what it is, how valuable this Krishna consciousness is that we have to share, that can bring relief greater than a physician's relief to the physical body is the relief the soul can find knowing Krishna is sharing this body with us. So actually, you've got now, by the ability to just share this with other people, the fullness of a science greater than the medicine science, greater than political science even. And where are they healing people of? The pains of their mind. We've got knowledge of the soul. The mind is so far away from the soul. And that's what we are bringing people to the awareness of as well. Because they might as well be dead. If you don't know Krishna is with you, you're living your life on your own, slave to your senses, creating likes and dislikes based on what your mind is telling you is good and bad, based on your previous experience with the material world, and none of it ever able to interact with the eternal. The concept of eternal doesn't enter most people's minds through the day, does it?
No.
But see, we know when we're chanting Krishna even, our mind is constantly fixed on that. If you're constantly fixed on Krishna, who is eternal, you're constantly fixed on the eternal. And that mind gets comfortable with the eternal because it's the natural way of its existence, the natural way of it being. The soul is perfect. The soul is eternal. The soul is full of bliss. We got to be reminded of this every day because we forget and we suffer. And we do things to cause our own suffering, in fact. And what we dwell upon, what we say, what we speak, can in fact, see, by the determination of Hiranyakasipu to have someone who would kill his enemy, he ended up creating someone who would be the killer of his enemy's enemy, which he was. He was his enemy's enemy is yourself. Your enemy's enemy is you. Yeah. And so Krishna, he tricked them. But he made all those promises to him, Brahma. Brahma agreed with so many promises. Won't be killed in the daytime. Won't be killed in the nighttime. Won't be killed on land. Won't be killed on sea. Won't be killed by a man. Won't be killed by a beast. Won't be killed indoors. Won't be killed outdoors. Not on land, not on sea. Oh my God, he thought he had it licked, you know. And every single one of those promises were kept by Brahma and Lord Vishnu, Krishna, in the form of Nrsimhadev. Killed him on his lap, in the porch, which was neither indoors or outdoors, in his own lap, which was neither on land or on sea. At dusk, which was in the middle of the daytime, the nighttime. Just amazing. Now, who can think up these things? This is not the imagination of a man. These are events that took place with God. With God. That's why we need the faith of a child. If we remained with the innocence of a child, because of the purity of his heart, these stories of Krishna, which these immediately in our minds so real, we could see them, we could picture them in our minds. The imagination of a child, every night dreaming, it's vivid. I remember my childhood dreams, some of them. Well, I don't remember them specifically, but I remember when I was having them, they were so real. When I had a nightmare, it was scary. Ooh. Yes, I was glad when I woke up in the morning, right? Yeah. And these are all dreams working out our karmas. But then you have good dreams. And those are glorious too. And see, the mind that is trained to stay on the spiritual path, then, through the day, will follow that path at night. Then that will be no different than the path that follows when leaving the body. Because we carry the mind. The mind carries its abilities and its luggage. And its, what is it called? Opulences. They say you can't take it with you. With Krishna consciousness, you do. Because Krishna doesn't want to have to bring you through this whole thing all over again, teaching you how to poop, teaching you how to bathe yourself, teaching you how to wash your teeth, wash your body, all these things. Krishna doesn't want to bring you through all that again. So see, more than we want eternity, Krishna wants it for us. But we have to reveal to him that we do want it. And then when we get to want it as much as he wants it for us, then it will be ours to realize. And it's ours there to realize all the time. But we have to make the endeavor. We have to make the pursuit. And it's easy. Krishna consciousness makes it easy because we have a schedule. And automatically, by just carrying out the daily activities that we're being given by our authorities, who we're submitting ourselves to, who we're submitting our will to. Not my life, Krishna, it's your life. Now I'm going to submit myself under the persons that you've put in charge. And by doing so, Krishna's promises, you do devotional service, engage in this activity, you'll be back with me forever and you won't have to come back to this material world again. Now, if God's true, then that's what'll happen. And if he's not, I've had a great time pursuing this. I don't know anything else I'd rather do. I don't see anything else in the world more satisfying. I don't see this service I've been given as work. I'm enjoying every moment, every day. I hate to say that, I am. You know, I'm happy. And it's because of Krishna that I'm happy. I can't, and of course, Srila Prabhupada has given us Krishna. So we have great indebtedness to Srila Prabhupada for the happiness. If we can find happiness in Krishna, we can accredit Srila Prabhupada with the fact that we have found that, because he's made it available. I've never even thought about going to India in my lifetime without finding out Krishna was there and that Krishna's God. I would never thought Krishna's God without Srila Prabhupada's teachings, writings, which is what we're seeing. Veda Vyasa, so importantly, being instructed by his own guru, Narada, taking the position of his disciple, that God himself sees it as so important to get these teachings into humanity, that he's revealing by his own teacher that this is what's going to solve humanity's problems. Reading these pastimes that you're having with your devotees and revealing how much love you have for your devotees.
It's supposed to be overwhelming.
Overwhelming.
It's supposed to be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the whole intent.
Satisfying. Like Srila Prabhupada says with Prashadam, take up to the neck.
What up to the neck?
Take Prashadam up to the neck. For the first year.
Your first year, okay.
Then you become Prashadam. Your whole body becomes Prashadam eventually. If all you take is Prashadam and your body is renewing itself, that's built into the way the body was made for cells to replace by other foodstuffs that we take in. So see, there's a principle in the body that is in effect an eternal chain of events that take place, this chain reaction that happens in the body, taking food, eliminating what we don't need. It's an eternal process, but it's been all messed up by the influences of sinful activities in the world, that mankind messing up the food chain by desire and by acting. There were actually mantras to pick food with. We have mantras to pick Tulsi with. This is all Native American Indians as well have prayers, what they pick their flowers with, what they pick their foods with. All in recognition of where it's coming from, which is where we're coming from. Which is, we want to get back to, that's Krishna consciousness, that's Vaikuntha, that's Krishna Loka. Ultimately the greatest Krishna Loka. Any questions, any comments, any realization? Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.